Thank you, Amit Kutejaji and his entire team of the Connecting Dream Foundation, and particularly the participants of today's great evening, when we are kind of felicitating people who have achieved something and also trying to inspire others, all very young change makers who want to achieve something more. And the kind of legacy that has been created by the global change makers through the Connecting Dreams Foundation is really very exciting, very inspiring. And I'm sure many more will also join this particular journey of changing the world. When I say changing the world, basically it is not only about the outer world, but the change process has to first spring into your mind. And therefore, it is also a kind of change from within, which we have to ensure first to be able to change the world outside. And therefore, whether it is the change makers or those who are going to be at the receiving end of the change or the transformation that the change makers are going to work for, in both the categories, first of all, I think it has to be a change in your personal philosophy of life. How do you look at life? What exactly do you understand as the philosophy of your life, if at all? And therefore, in a way, it also reflects on the kind of sense of purpose that one possesses while in his journey of life, all through the life for that matter. And once that is decided, once that you are very sure about it, I believe it demands a change in your own mindset, a change in your functionality, and eventually a change in your quality of life. I believe this particular theory is not confined only to the change makers, but also it is very relevant to those who are the participants of this journey of transformation and who will be, in a way, having a different quality of their life due to the efforts of these change makers. So the change makers will have to also ensure that the people whom we are working, the people with whom we are working, go through this journey. They change their philosophy of life. They change their mindset. They change the way they function, which is their functionality. And also, they eventually bring a transformation in their own quality of personal life. If all these changes are to be made, as we know, and there are many examples which we saw from Bangladesh, from Kenya, and also there were many from India as well, I'm sure they must have attempted the transformation while responding various crises which they might have come across in the society, in the given set of people. For example, and this also had something to do with the change in the philosophy of life, which I referred to, I believe the first and foremost, the crisis that has gripped our day-to-day living, that has gripped human life in general, and that has gripped the entire global community, if I may say it, which is the omnipresent crisis of purpose. Why exactly we are doing what we are doing? Why exactly we are joining a particular movement? Why exactly we are writing a blog? Why exactly we are making some kind of a comment through Twitter or maybe Facebook or other social media platforms? There has to be some purpose. There has to be some objective. there has to be some destination for all your actions. Fast pace of life, we are slowly finding ourselves in a situation where our day-to-day life also becomes hollow from within, and the crisis of purpose grips our entire life, personal life, family life, social life. And therefore, if we have to be free from that, first of all, I believe we have to inculcate the ability to understand the purpose behind all our actions. All our actions during the day, all our actions in a week, in a month, in a year, and for that matter, that exactly will lead us to finding the purpose and make our day-to-day life more purposeful, more oriented towards a particular destination, and in that sense, more productive as well. The second crisis, which I believe is in a way the product of the first crisis, which is the crisis of authenticity. Because when you don't have a specific purpose right before your eyes, you tend to work in a very superficial manner without going into the depth, without using your analytical abilities. And you do the things like a tick mark, ticking in the right boxes every day, and convincing ourselves that what we are doing is leading to some kind of a result orientation, which is not the case in fact, because you are doing those things simply for the sake of doing. Since there is no purpose, there is no quest for any result orientation or productivity for that matter. And therefore, unknowingly or knowingly, but we find ourselves in another crisis, which is the crisis of authenticity, where everything becomes very, very superficial, very, very flimsy. Look at the other important crisis, which again is impacting our day-to-day life. The third crisis, again, it is the product of the second crisis, which is the crisis of ownership. I'm happy there were many people who are working in environment, but all our environmental concerns will be effective if we, first of all, as an individual, as a citizen, as a member of the society, decide to own up this particular planet. We are responsible for whatever happens on this planet, whatever happens to Mother Earth, because that is going to impact on our life. And therefore, we have to take the ownership, not only of our home, our surroundings, our city, our state, our country, but gradually the whole world as well. Mother Earth, we own it. We cannot say that why have I to plant more trees? Why have I to ensure that I do not add to the air pollution? Why have I to ensure that I will have to shoulder some responsibility when it comes to cleanliness, when it comes to hygiene, when it comes to protecting the environment? And that will happen only if we have a very robust sense of ownership within us. I own it. It is not somebody else's property. It is my property. And therefore, it is my responsibility to protect it and to preserve it as well. So this is the third crisis, which is the crisis of ownership. Every crisis of these quadruple of crises is the product of the previous crisis in a way. And therefore, it's a chain, and we have to break this chain by instilling a sense of purpose, thereby having all that we do very, very authentic, sincere, honest, true, thereby taking the ownership, taking the responsibility of people around us, of the environment around us, and thereby become a responsible member of the society. And lastly, we have to have that mindset that I am related, not only in my family, but in my society as well, in my city as well, and for that matter, in this country and with the global community as well. So all these things ultimately will help us overcome the crisis of status quoism, because you are all change makers. And the very significant aspect of the process of change is that we are not accepting the status quo as it is. We become change makers because we are not comfortable with the status quo. And therefore, the element of status quoism in any way, in every way, I believe requires total rejection. Now that you are change makers, the previous change makers, the would-be change makers, I would suggest that if this is to become a movement, and a very beautiful name of this institution, which is Connecting Dreams, I would suggest that dream, document, and disseminate are the 3 Ds. Dream will shape the objective and the nature of your mission. When you document the things, that will help others also gather some insights through your experiences. And later on, when you disseminate the results, I believe that will inspire many more people as well. And therefore, I would suggest that while becoming change makers, let us also try to spread this and let many more people join this journey of transformation. I offer all my best wishes for the future journey and congratulate the change makers who have made a significant transformation in the surroundings in which they are. I also once again congratulate Amit Tuteja ji and all his colleagues. Thank you very much.